At Crest Academy there is one unwritten rule everyone knows in their blood: if a boy wears a necklace engraved with the letter W, you do not touch him. Reese sits at the top of his class with a textbook open and a perfectly mild expression, the scholarship student everyone underestimates, which is precisely how he wants it. Across the room, Blake's eyes have been on him for 6 days, and the weight in them has been growing heavier every hour. 6 days Blake had sent people to corner Ree in stairwells and hallways. 6 days of tests Ree slipped through by taking sick leave, keeping Elliot and Flynn close, playing the quiet scholarship boy so perfectly the role became invisible armor. But today Elliot is sick and Flynn has an exam, and Blake storms through the classroom door with 3 crew members behind him like a man who has finally found the crack in the wall. Every student in the room goes still, the stillness of people who already know how this ends. Today you're finished. Box cutter catches the light once before it traces a 5 cm line across Ree's arm, not deep enough to be life-threatening, precisely deep enough to be a message, and Ree watches it happen with the calm of someone filing information away rather than reacting to it. He doesn't flinch. He doesn't make a sound. The blood wells through white fabric when the vice principal's voice erupts from the doorway, and for one crystalline second the entire classroom freezes. Next time I'll make sure it blooms across your face. Blake sets down the box cutter with the unhurried ease of someone placing a cup of tea on a saucer, watching the vice principal shake with impotent rage the way a bored lion watches a house cat try to roar. Every word he speaks lands with the cadence of someone who has never once faced a consequence they didn't want to face. The room is suffocating with the knowledge that everyone in this city knows what the Blake family's reach actually means. I am the young heir of the Blake family. I didn't like the look of him, so I hit him. So what? Call the police. Let's see who can actually touch me. He drops himself into the teacher's chair like he owns it, because in every way that matters to him, he does, and makes the call home without a single tremor in his hands, already rewriting the story, already the victim, already bored by how easy this is. In the corner Ree presses his jacket to the wound and watches the performance with an expression that is the most dangerous thing in the room, something close to amusement. Blake catches that look and his contempt sharpens to a point. Go ahead and call. Let's see what your parents can actually do to me. What are you going to bring, a nanny? Ree steps out of the office into the hallway, not with shaking hands, not with desperation rising in his throat, but with the calculated precision of someone who knows exactly which frequency will trigger exactly which response. He dials the number and lets his voice crack on the syllables just slightly, just enough, the precise calibrated measure of a boy who has studied his sister the way a musician studies an instrument. On the other end, there is a single second of silence, and then the sound of running feet. Luna. Someone hurt me. Luna's eyes go ice cold at the exact moment she understands, and what replaces the warmth in her face belongs to a different register of person entirely, a stillness so complete it is almost indistinguishable from violence. She is already running before she hangs up the phone. Special license plates, floored accelerator, teacher shouting after her at the gate, all irrelevant, background noise to someone operating on a frequency the rest of the world cannot hear. She makes it in exactly 30 minutes. Ree, don't be scared. Stay right there. I'll be there in 30 minutes. Blake's stepmother is mid-sentence, adding 5 million to the initial million to go away quietly when a voice cuts through the office from the direction of the door, cold and beautiful and absolutely lethal in a way that makes everyone understand they have made a catastrophic mistake. The next second the door doesn't open. It gets kicked open. In the frame stands a girl with blue-white hair that should be impossible, surrounded by suited bodyguards, wearing an expression that belongs on the cover of something dangerous. 20 billion. All of you get out of my sight before you make me sick. Homeroom teacher studies Luna's face, those sharp features, that impossible blue-white hair, and finally ventures the question that seems both too obvious and too impossible. Are you Reese's guardian? Luna walks through the frozen room without breaking stride, heels touching tile with a finality that rewrites the physics of the space, and her answer lands in the silence the way a stone lands in still water. In the corner, Ree watches his sister cross the room toward him and feels the first thing in 6 days that is not a performance. I'm his sister. The moment Luna reaches him, every degree of that arctic fury melts in the space of a single breath, replaced by something so tender it looks almost violent by contrast, her face changing the way a blade becomes a gentle thing when it chooses not to cut. She crouches in front of him with the careful slowness of someone approaching something precious, takes his injured hand with both of hers, and her voice drops so low it barely disturbs the air. Ree looks up into a face made entirely of worry for him and for the first time in 6 days lets himself be the one who got hurt. Reese, let me help you up, okay? The words break out of Ree's throat before he can calculate them, not because he planned this part, but because 6 days of being invisible have built up a pressure that has to go somewhere, and here is the only place safe enough to let it collapse. He throws himself into Luna's arms and his voice breaks on the syllables, and the room watches Luna's face do the thing none of them expected, her arms close around him and tighten until her knuckles go white, and the expression that settles on her face over his shoulder is the kind of thing that starts dynasties crumbling. Luna. They hurt me. Luna steps back from Ree with the controlled precision of someone clicking a safety off, turns to face the room, and reaches into her collar. The blue-white diamond necklace she draws out catches the office fluorescence and scatters them across the ceiling like a chandelier, a Y engraved at its center, a crest so unmistakable that Blake's stepmother's mouth falls open before the words even form. The entire room has time for one collective breath before Luna delivers the statement that rearranges the universe of every person in it. My name is Moore. I am the second daughter of the Moore family. And my brother is the one and only young heir of the Moore family. Luna walks back into the office and doesn't say a word, she simply kicks Blake straight to the ground. The bodyguards block his parents from moving before anyone has time to react. She plants one foot on his back, takes the box cutter from a bodyguard, and taps the flat of the blade against his cheek with the same calm she might use adjusting a picture frame. Her voice is ice, she heard he wanted to carve up her brother's face. She invites him to try it first. The thin red line that opens across his cheek is the last act of a boy who thought he was untouchable. I heard you wanted to carve up my brother's face. Why don't you try it first? He waits in the car while the real show unfolds inside. He had planned this, called this, watched it build, and now in the backseat with afternoon light falling soft on his face there is nothing strategic in his expression at all. Just a boy waiting for his sister. Luna comes out and crouches beside him, draws from the console a necklace with blue-white diamonds and a W at its center, and fastens it around his neck with the care of someone crowning a king who doesn't yet know what kingdom they're inheriting. Reese. From now on, live loud in City C. If anything goes wrong, I'll take the fall. The car door clicks shut, and in the space of a single breath the boy who was crying ceases to exist entirely, like a costume falling from a hanger, like static clearing from a signal. What remains is something older and cooler and considerably more dangerous, a slow smile pulling at the corner of Ree's mouth, eyes clearing of every performance like morning fog burning off still water. The only unfortunate part, he thinks, is that he has to leave City A early. He wasn't done having fun here. Morning Ree leaves for Thornfield, 2 rows of household staff line the entrance hall and bow in perfect unison, their greeting echoing through marble corridors that have seen this ritual 1,000 times, and Ree almost laughs because he spent a year hiding from exactly this. Luna opens the car door without being asked, the way she does everything, with complete uncomplicated certainty. 20 minutes later they stop in front of Thornfield High's gate, and Ree's eyes drift instinctively sideways to the school directly next door, to the distinctive flash of blue-white hair visible through the Maplewood gate. We wish the young master a wonderful first day. Thornfield High Gate is everything the rumors promised, imposing, precise, the kind of architecture that communicates discipline through its dimensions alone. Ree stands at the gate with a blank expression, takes one look at the sign, and then turns his head 90 degrees because Maplewood High is literally next door and Luna's blue-white hair is absolutely impossible to miss from this distance. He gives her the sweetest goodbye smile, she grabs his arm to issue 17 additional warnings, and then he turns and walks through the gate without looking back. Reese, we're here. Ree steps to the front of Class A and introduces himself in 3 carefully chosen sentences, each built to be warm enough to disarm and empty enough to reveal nothing, the expression on his face a masterwork of practiced mildness, a smile that reaches exactly far enough. The class erupts into spontaneous applause before he finishes speaking, and whispers begin before he has taken his seat. Where was that face before? The desk he's assigned sits beside a conspicuously empty seat covered in textbooks and a single limited edition pen, and the entire room goes ominously quiet at the mention of his seatmate. Hi everyone, my name is Ree. I transferred from City A. I hope we get along. Desk beside his is covered in textbooks with color-coded tabs, a single limited edition fountain pen resting in the groove, the same model as his own, which tells him everything he needs to know about the kind of person he is dealing with. The classmates who come to welcome him glance between him and that empty seat with the particular expression of people watching someone unknowingly walk into a situation they should be warned about, but none of them quite find the nerve to say the words directly. Someone finally explains, his seatmate has never once let anyone sit beside her. No one at Thornfield will say her name directly, they orbit it the way you orbit something that gives off heat, dropping titles instead, the school tyrant, the top girl, the one who relocated his desk without asking. Ree listens with practiced mild curiosity, pulling threads, until someone leans in with the voice of someone sharing sacred text. His seatmate is one of Thornfield's 4 top girls, a name that belongs to one of the country's first families, and she has never once let anyone sit beside her. Then Zara cuts the conversation short with a single sideways glance, and everyone immediately changes the subject. Your original seatmate is the school tyrant. Terrible temper. Never lets anyone sit beside her. Dean of Discipline spots Ree's brown hair through the classroom window with the particular intensity of someone who has been waiting for exactly this violation, and explodes, calling him out for dyed hair, summoning him to the office after class. Ree doesn't react. Elliot looks apologetic on his behalf, warns him it's serious, and then offers to walk him there himself. Something warm settles in Ree's chest at that. He thanks Elliot, takes a slow breath, and pushes through the discipline office door, which is precisely when a storm begins gathering silently at the school entrance outside. You brown hair, get out here. Who gave you permission to dye your hair? Ree returns from the dean's office to find his desk has been relocated to the very back of the room with the clean finality of a completed sentence, no mess, no drama, simply gone from where it was and placed where she wanted it, an act so decisive it commands respect. Elliot explains the situation with the careful tone of someone filing a weather report about a hurricane. Ree looks at the empty spot where he sat, looks at the desk in the back, makes a decision that surprises Elliot. He walks to the back without a word, drops into the chair, and looks genuinely, slightly impressed. It was my seatmate. She doesn't like having a seatmate. Math teacher writes the one problem that broke every student in the school's last exam and scans the room with the particular anticipation of someone about to generate an entertaining disaster, then his eyes land on Ree. What follows is 20 minutes of complete unhurried solution in 2 methods, the second of which isn't taught until senior year, delivered in the calm tone of someone slightly bored by the exercise. The classroom takes 4 full seconds to process what just happened, and then it detonates. Sure, this problem. I covered it back in middle school. Cole asks where he transferred from with the tone of someone expecting to win, and Ree answers in 3 words that land like a key turning in a lock the entire class didn't know existed. Crest Academy, the elite school that accepts only the children of the 4 elite families, that does not accept scholarship students, that does not accept outsiders. The entire room does the math at once, and the way they look at Ree shifts by exactly one unmeasurable but absolute degree of respect. Crest Academy. Ree catches the corner of his seatmate's forgotten textbook and flips it open to a page with a single word written on it, not a note, not a study guide, just a name written in a handwriting that is elegant and sharp and somehow familiar in a way that bypasses the mind entirely and lands directly in the chest. The pen slips from between Ree's fingers and strikes the floor with a click that feels impossibly loud in the empty classroom. Around him, the class continues as normal, completely unaware that somewhere inside the careful architecture of Ree's composure, a hairline crack has appeared. The memory surfaces without asking permission, a bright bold girl propping her chin in both hands and pouting at him across a shared study table, saying that if they went to different schools she couldn't see him every single day. He had meant to hold firm. He had lasting very good reasons to hold firm. Then she had looked at him with that expression that had always been completely undefendable, and he had heard himself say, then we'll both go to Maplewood. She had broken into a grin so wide it looked like sunrise. Then we'll both go to Maplewood. Elliot is the kind of person who makes you feel, in the space of a single conversation, that you have known him longer than you have, warm and steady and completely without the performance that layers every other relationship in this school. He walks Ree to the cafeteria without being asked, asks about Crest Academy with genuine envy rather than calculated social maneuvering, and by the time they reach the cafeteria Ree has decided something rare, he likes this person. The Thornfield cafeteria is enormous. 5 buildings, 6 floors each, more food options than you can count. Ree immediately locates the booth furthest from everyone else. Ash arrives with Vera and Serena and the classroom changes temperature, not loudly, not dramatically, but with a particular atmospheric shift of barometric pressure dropping before a storm, every student instinctively adjusting their posture. Ash drops into her original seat at the front without a word she has not given to this room in a week, and opens her phone. She does not look toward the back of the room. Yet, Vera glances toward the back of the room for no particular reason, a reflex, a habit, the idle attention of someone who has survived this long by watching everything, and the moment her eyes land on the figure at the back desk, every function she is running simultaneously shuts down. Her mouth shapes a word she doesn't say out loud. Then her hand comes down on her desk with a sound like a gunshot, and she is on her feet with the unsteady urgency of someone who cannot believe what their eyes are reporting, and the entire class turns to see what has broken Vera's composure. Oh, damn. Ash sets down her phone. She looks up at Vera and Serena both standing like they've been struck by the same invisible thing, and she allows herself exactly 1 second of impatience before following their gaze across the room to where it terminates. In the time between that moment and the next, something happens to her face that the entire class will try and fail to describe for weeks. It is not exactly recognition and not exactly joy and not exactly pain, but it is the most expression anyone in Thornfield has ever seen on her in a single instant. She is on her feet before she finishes processing that she has stood up. Ash crosses the classroom in long strides that cover the distance in seconds, and Ree's entire body locks up when he sees who is moving toward him, not because he didn't know, because some part of him has known since the pen fell, since the handwriting hid him behind the sternum, but because knowing a thing and having it arrive in front of you are two entirely different events. She stops close enough that he can see the teardrop mole at the corner of her left eye, and her voice comes out in 2 syllables that carry the weight of everything unsaid between them for almost a year. Ree's hands move before his mind catches up to them, flat palms connecting with Ash's shoulders and pushing, not hard, not gentle, just firmly and categorically, the body's way of saying I cannot process this yet without having to say it in words. He turns and runs. Behind him he hears the collective intake of breath from 30 students who cannot believe what they have just witnessed. Someone shoved Ash in front of everyone, and she didn't get angry. She watched him flee with a slow smile beginning at the corner of her mouth, the look of someone who has just found something they had given up on finding. Second floor stairwell is crowded with students on break, which makes it worse. Witnesses to Reese stopping with his back against the railing, witnesses to Ash closing the distance and pinning him in place with a presence that feels like gravity, makes the walls feel closer. She doesn't touch him. She doesn't have to. The crowd reads the situation and begins melting away from the edges before she even opens her mouth. Then she says one word. Leave. They're alone in the stairwell now, and Ash's voice is quieter than Ree expected, not soft, not gentle, but the particular quiet of someone who has been holding a question for so long that when they finally ask it, it comes out barely above a breath. Her fingertips are white where they grip the railing beside his shoulder. She is breathing too fast for someone who took the stairs at a walk. Ree looks at her hands and cannot find a single word. Why are you running from me? Ash tells him what happened in the voice of someone reading coordinates from a map, precise and flat, the tone people use when they are reporting something they have already processed 100 times. 10 days before the entrance exams, her cousin sent a group. I had injury. Over 10 days in the hospital. The exams missed. And when she came out, Ree was already gone, every contact changed, every trace removed as if he had simply ceased to exist. Ree hears all of this and feels the floor of something he thought he understood shift entirely beneath him. I just had a head injury. I spent over 10 days in the hospital. When I came out, you were already gone. There's still one thing Ree hasn't asked, the one image lodged in him like a splinter at the base of his ribcage for almost a year. He saw her with someone else the day she was supposed to be at school, so it looked like a kiss, and changed every contact he had before he went to sleep that night. He asks it quietly, not looking at her. Ash's brow creases, and then she explains, that day the other girl brought 40 people, got close to threaten her, it was never a kiss. Right after that, they took her away and the beating started. Every last shred of doubt dissolves. That day she came with over 40 people. She got close to threaten me. It was never a kiss. Right after that, they took me away. His eyes go red in the space of a breath, not gradually, not with warning, just all at once, the way a dam goes. He thinks of every message he deleted, every contact he changed, the childish certainty with which he had made himself unreachable, all of it suddenly visible for what it was, a tantrum thrown at the moment when she needed him most. Before he finishes the thought he has already closed the distance and buried himself in her arms, and his voice breaks on the syllables when he speaks, genuine this time, nothing calculated left in it at all. I'm sorry, Ash. When you needed me the most, I wasn't there. Ash holds him with the particular tightness of someone who has been practicing this moment in their imagination for almost a year and is now taking no chances with it, not too hard, not too gentle, exactly right. When she speaks, her voice is quiet and rough and contains everything she is not going to perform for him, no recrimination, no conditions, no price for the reunion. Just 4 words that are somehow the most generous thing anyone has ever said to him. You're back. That's all that matters. Ash walks back into class A with a smile on her face, a real one, the kind that belongs on someone who has just found something they were quietly certain they had lost, and Vera and Serena read the room in one glance and don't ask a single question. Ree walks in beside her, face lighter than it has been since he crossed the Thornfield gate, and the entire class reacts to both of them walking in together like they're watching the resolution of a story that has been in progress longer than any of them were aware. Back already. All sorted? Vera leans back in her chair and drops a memory into the conversation like someone placing a stone in still water, watching the ripples. Back when they were children, Ash had scraped her knee badly but gritted through the pain and insisted on giving Ree the fresh date she was holding. Then went home and got severely scolded by her grandfather for it. At the mention of this, Ash reaches up and lightly brushes Ree's hair with her palm, voice full of fond exasperation. Someone kept complaining the dates weren't sweet enough. She couldn't just let him wait for nothing. Ree's face goes warm. Someone kept complaining the dates weren't sweet enough. I couldn't just let you wait for nothing. Homeroom teacher announces the exam results with barely contained pride. 2 students in Class A tied for first in the entire grade on a college entrance level paper, the first time a class has produced a tie at the top in living memory. He calls both names. The classroom erupts. Ash picks up both papers without asking, scans them in 1 second each, 2 immaculate sheets, not a correction mark between them, and slides Reese back to him with a look that says more than any sentence she could construct. Ash, 146. Reese, also 146. Both completely correct. Both first. Lucas makes it to the Thornfield gate in just under an hour and immediately stares at the towering wall with the expression of someone who has been severely misled about what pretty easy to get into means. He calls Ree from outside with the barely contained urgency of someone who has been standing in direct sunlight and is about to say so very loudly. Inside the school, Ree picks up in front of Ash, Vera, and Serena without thinking, and Lucas's voice carries through the speaker at full volume before anyone has a chance to adjust expectations. Hey, I'm at the gate and I cannot get in. Come get me right now. At the school gate, Lucas spots Ash standing beside Rhea and his eyes lock up completely beautiful on a level that registers as almost surreal, and then the slow recognition of where he has seen this face before, in a painting in Rhea's sketchbook, signed only with a single word, a girl Lucas had always assumed was imaginary because someone this beautiful couldn't possibly be real. Then he hears the name, Ashin. Sole heir of the wealthiest family in the country. The one nobody can find a photo of online. Lucas draws one slow breath and elbows Rhea hard. No wonder you never looked twice at anyone at Crest. Growing up with someone like her, your heart was already taken. The private lounge on the 4th floor is Vera's idea, somewhere for Rhea to show Lucas around without becoming a spectacle, and for approximately 10 minutes it works, until the door slams open and Langfang walks in demanding to know why Serena hasn't replied to his messages. He flinches at Ash's presence but hides behind the title of son of a family that once saved Serena's family, doesn't back down, spots Lucas and Rhea, and ignites with jealousy. The air in the room changes in the same instant. Rhea has been agreeable, mild, warm, carefully unremarkable for the entire lounge gathering, and then Langfang jabs his finger at Serena and declares that whoever she spends time with had better watch themselves, because he is her fiancé and her fiancé does not appreciate it. Something shifts in Rhea that is not anger exactly, it is colder and more deliberate than anger, the flick of a switch from performed warmth to something with no warmth at all. He stands up. The air in the room changes before he has said a single word. Moment stretches, Langfang has just made an accusation at Rhea, Ash has risen to her feet with a wave of cold violent energy radiating off her, and everyone in the room is holding their breath, when Lucas, who has been watching the whole thing with the specific expression of someone who has been waiting for his moment, simply stands up, walks over, and slaps Langfang clean across the face. The sound rings through the entire lounge. Langfang grabs his face in disbelief. Lucas tilts his chin up, shakes out the sting in his wrist, and picks up a tissue to wipe his hand with visible disgust. And who exactly are you? After Langfang staggers out with his crew, Ash turns around, and the ferocity in her eyes evaporates the instant she looks at Rhea, replaced by something unbearably warm, a shift so complete it's almost disorienting for anyone who has only ever seen her cold side. She reaches over and gently pinches his cheek. Next time something like that happens, she says, don't bother with words, just go. And if he can't win, she's right there. Flynn, watching this from across the room, stops breathing for approximately 4 seconds. Next time something like that happens, don't bother with words. Just go. And if you can't win, I'm right here. Flynn appears around a corner with his wolf-tail hair and peach blossom eyes and drops an arm around Rhea's shoulder like they parted 5 minutes ago rather than a year, his voice carrying that particular lazy warmth of someone who performs effort as carelessness. He glances at Ash's expression and visibly shrinks, then leans in close to Rhea and mutters that Ash still looks like walking ice, which is frankly alarming, and in the time it takes him to whisper this, Ash has already turned to look at Rhea with an expression so different from walking ice that Flynn's mouth stops mid-sentence. Rhea, why is Ash still like walking ice? It's alarming. Luna is waiting at the Thornfield gate when Rhea comes out, which, coming from the girl who is always somewhere important being someone impressive, is the closest thing to a declaration she knows how to make. The crowd outside both school gates immediately detonates when they realize who is standing there, and that cold and possibly beautiful face is turned toward the gate with something in it that belongs only to the moments when she sees him. She spots Rhea and the frost drops entirely. She ruffles his hair before he has time to say hello. Classroom door opens and a figure in a cap with grey pink hair spilling from under the brim appears in the frame. Rosie, Rhea's cousin from the Song family, who has walked into Thornfield wearing a borrowed uniform and the expression of someone who finds the whole situation extremely reasonable. She strides forward, grabs Rhea's arm, and announces that they are going to eat, and the entire hallway comes to a stop because Maplewood's top girl is standing in Thornfield's first-year corridor with the confidence of someone who has always been welcome everywhere. The afternoon free practice period sends Vera and Serena to the archery and equestrian range while Rhea walks with Ash to the art studio, a perfectly ordinary split, the kind of thing that happens every afternoon. What none of them know is that a group of men have been inside the school grounds since morning, and the range, isolated and distant from the main buildings, is exactly the location someone has planned this around. The attack begins before Vera has time to process that it is an attack. The bald man and his crew make their move with the confidence of people who have been paid well and briefed thoroughly, targeting Serena specifically, challenging her to a match, and when she wins, dropping the pretense entirely and going for real violence. Vera charges in before anyone can stop her, which is what tips the situation from controlled threat to full chaos. By the time the first hit lands, Ash is already moving, and the professional efficiency she brings to dismantling the first 3 members of the crew makes the bald man reassess his assumptions about high school girls. Ash holds off 7 men simultaneously with the particular calm of someone for whom this is not their first experience of this kind of situation, and the particular efficiency of someone for whom it might become their last if she lets it. Every movement is clean and exact and carries an undertone of ruthlessness that has the watching students on the stands gripping their phones with shaking hands. There is no trace of the girl who mixed colors for Rhea's palette or pinched his cheek gently. This version of Ash belongs to a different register entirely. While everyone's attention is on Ash, Rhea is scanning the edges of the field with the cold practicality of someone doing math rather than feeling afraid. Broken blades on the ground, too dangerous to use without escalating. But at the stable entrance, several bridles with heavy metal clips are hanging on the wall, and a plan clicks into place in the time it takes to draw 2 breaths. He tells everyone not to move, which is the first and last warning he gives before disappearing from sight. Nobody move. Security is almost here. The bald leader has grabbed one of the loaded recurve bows from the corner rack and raised it toward Vera, his last play, the thing that holds everyone in place, when Rhea swings the bridle from behind him with everything he has. It wraps around the ankle on impact and the footing gives. The bow fires off course. The arrow grazes Serena's shoulder and buries itself in the sand. In the space between the arrow leaving the bow and finding the sand, Ash moves. Ash seizes the gap from Rhea's move with the timing of someone who has been watching and waiting for exactly one specific opening. Left hand pins the bald leader's wrist. Right hand already drawn back. One punch lands on his jaw with a crack that the students in the stands can hear clearly. He crumples. The remaining crew, still readied and rushing forward, are met by the same unhurried efficiency. Ash leans against the post when it is over, barely breathing fast, and looks at the last one still trying to run with something approaching boredom. Running already? I thought you were tough. Head of security gets there at a run and takes one look at the scene and immediately recalibrates everything he thought this situation was going to be. Miss Ash, are you alright? Vera, still rubbing her side with feeling, looks at him with the expression of someone who would like the record to show that she is very much not alright. The attackers are on the ground. Ash rolls her wrist out methodically. Her eyes find Rhea's hand, faintly red from the bridle, and her brow pulls together. Miss Ash, are you alright? In the infirmary, while the nurse works on Vera's bruises and Ash gently works on Ree's reddened fingers, the investigation returns its first result. The hotel registration of the man was under fake identities, but the account that paid for the rooms traces to a shell company under the U family. Vera goes very still. The room goes very quiet. Then Ree drops the second piece. The payment was made yesterday afternoon. From a specific IP address. Registered to a specific room. Everyone in the infirmary looks at the same name at the same time. Yu Chang. Vera reaches for her phone with the particular energy of someone who has found their target and is now executing. Serena's hand comes down on her wrist. Not yet, she says. Not without evidence that will actually stick, or Yu Chang will cry and say it's a misunderstanding and Marcus will be caught between two daughters and nothing will happen. Vera's face cycles through 3 emotions in 1 second. Then she puts the phone down. The calculation in Serena's quiet eyes as she says this is something much colder than anger. Go to your father first. The moment there's one piece of real evidence, he'll dig until it's finished. Marcus Yu listens to the full account from Vera, who delivers it with the cold efficiency of someone who has been composing this presentation since the infirmary, and then listens to Serena lay out exactly how Yu Chang conspired with Langfang and why the shell company account is the link that proves it. The investigation he orders takes 30 minutes. The results confirm everything. Marcus looks at his younger daughter standing in the room and delivers his verdict with the weight of someone who was disappointed in a way that is past anger. Effective immediately, every card frozen, never set foot in this house again. Effective immediately. Every card frozen. Never set foot in this house again. Chang's composure breaks all at once, not gradually, not with dignity, and what comes out when it breaks is something none of them expected. She didn't want the inheritance. She wanted Langfang to notice her. She hired people to scare Serena because Langfang only ever looked at Serena, and she wanted someone to make Serena suffer a little so Langfang would feel sorry for her and finally pay attention. Vera starts laughing. She almost had people killed. For a boy. To make him glance at her. I just wanted Langfang to look at me. The guards step forward and haul the still crying, still screaming Yu Chang up and drag her straight out the door, her voice fading down the corridor and away. As the crying disappears into the distance, Vera lets out a long breath. Then she turns to Serena with her eyes already calculating. She pats Serena's arm. Marcus watches both of them walk toward the dining table, shakes his head, and says something about looking after each other. Vera doesn't even turn around. She's already dragging Serena toward dinner and she absolutely has opinions about the car Marcus promised as an apology gift. Afternoon free period takes Reed to the art studio, which is quiet and wide and smells of turpentine and old paper, the first genuinely peaceful space he has found in Thornfield. He fixes his paper in place and spins his pencil between his fingers, thinking, and then notices that beside him a palette has been prepared without his asking, all the colors he would have reached for, already mixed, brushes already loaded. He looks at Ash. She's watching him. She says she'll watch him paint. She doesn't need to paint herself. No need. I'll watch you. Ree picks up a brush and makes the first stroke without sketching or laying out pale gray bleeding across the surface immediately, cracked earth forming, crumbling wall edges, a dead branch that radiates a suffocating desolation. The students nearby who have been watching quietly go completely still. 2 of them look at each other. How does someone create a color that translucent? How did she know which colors he would need? The studio settles into a hush that it hasn't had all afternoon. Just when everyone in the studio has settled into the certainty that this painting is about to spare, Ree dips into pale pink and begins dotting defiant wildflowers into the gaps of the crumbled wall. Then soft green, coaxing shoots of new growth from the cracks in the dead wood. The observers are genuinely speechless. Ash's eyes move from the painting to Ree's face and stay there. He notices her watching and asks casually why she keeps staring, and the answer she gives, barely above a whisper, is the most honest thing she has said all week. No need. I'll watch you. He walks into the washroom to clean the paint from his fingertips and finds the situation already in motion. Langfang has a slight figure with glasses cornered against the wall, for crew members blocking the exits, the boy pressed back with white knuckles on his bag while Langfang makes the particular speech of someone who has mistaken cruelty for authority. Ree turns on the tap. He squeezes out the soap. He takes his time. He doesn't acknowledge that anyone else is in the room. Langfang confirms there are no cameras, confirms Ash is gone, and swings a slap at Ree's face. No cameras. Ree watches the hand coming toward him and lets a cold smile form on his lips, even better. His wrist flips and locks onto Langfang's wrist and applies pressure, and Langfang's face drains instantly as the angle communicates very efficiently that the hand he swung is no longer his to swing freely. The crew charges in. Ree deals with them the way you deal with problems that are smaller than they think they are. Even better. When the crew is on the floor and Langfang has been deposited face first against the sink, Ree turns to the glasses boy with the small spreading stain on his sleeve from where tears fell on it and says something remarkable in its simplicity. You did nothing wrong. The boy's name is Mong. He has been accepting whatever Langfang handed him because Langfang threatened his mother's job. He has been deliberately scoring below his ability on exams to avoid being placed back in Class A. Ree looks at him for a long moment and says 4 words that are almost as good as the 4 Ash said in the stairwell. From now on, I've got you. He is sitting quietly on a bench outside when his phone lights up with a video call and the contact name makes his eyes light up like something being switched on a twin sis. He slips away from everyone at a run and accepts the call in a quiet stairwell, and the face that fills the screen is impossibly beautiful even through pixels. Ice blue eyes almost colorless, teardrop mole at the right eye corner, pale as paper, looking at him across an ocean with an expression that contains everything she cannot say quickly enough. I miss you so much. From a table in a bubble tea shop not far from school, Ash looks at her phone and sees a photo of Ree on the school forum, some candid shot someone took, already going viral before the post gets deleted, and something warm settles in her expression that is not quite possessiveness and not quite pride but something that contains both. She watches the photo for approximately 3 seconds before Serena deletes it from her end. Ash sets down her phone. Vera leans in immediately to ask if she saw. She did. Next morning Ree finds Meng cornered at the second floor stairwell again, Langfang and 2 followers, this time the energy more vicious because Langfang found out yesterday that his name was dropped from Thornfield's top 5 ranking and the spot went to Ree. Old grudges and new ones arriving together. Ree taps the railing lightly with one finger and speaks in the flat voice of someone who has already assessed the situation and found it beneath them, either Langfang leaves right now, or Ree goes and gets Ash. Either you leave right now, or I go get Ash. The four of them going to lunch together, Ash, Vera, Serena, becomes a daily event that the entire school treats like a recurring exhibition. The moment they appear in the cafeteria, the noise levels recalibrate, and by the time they find a table, a perimeter of respectful distance has established itself without anyone being asked. Inside that perimeter, the four of them eat and argue and catch each other up on everything they missed in the year apart, and it sounds like every other table in the cafeteria but is not. Shin family situation arrives at school the way the Shin family situations always arrive, without warning and requiring Ash to be somewhere she doesn't want to be, for reasons that have nothing to do with her and everything to do with people trying to use her proximity to power to gain something. She goes because her father asks her to. She texts Ree from the car, something came up at home, be there around noon. She adds a mint candy emoji because that is apparently who she is now. The school forum has become a battlefield over Ree's presence at Thornfield, with posts and candid photos appearing and getting deleted faster than the school's moderating can keep up. Someone posts a photo of him in the cafeteria. 3 seconds later it's gone. Someone posts a thread about the more family connection. It lasts 45 seconds. Serena, who has never once looked up from her phone while also being fully present in every conversation, has simply decided that nothing will stick to Ree that she doesn't want to stick. The forum learns. The homeroom teacher calls both names and both scores and the classroom erupts in a way that is unusual even for Class A. Ash picks up both papers, scans both in 1 second, and slides Ree's back to him across the adjacent desks. The look she gives him in the space between releasing the paper and looking away is not a word and not a sentence, it is the look of someone who has recognized themselves in someone else's work and doesn't quite have the vocabulary for what that recognition feels like. Ree holds his paper and doesn't look away. Ash, 146. Reese, also 146. Both first. Both perfect. Ash mixes his colors again the next afternoon, all of them, without being asked, every shade he would have reached for, and when Ree notices this and looks at her, she's already watching him with the particular calm of someone who has decided to stop being careful about being seen. He reaches for a brush and his fingertip accidentally grazes hers. Both of them go still. The two students in the far corner of the studio stop pretending they're not watching and just watch. The painting Ree finishes has a desolate landscape at its center, cracked earth, dead wood, hollow light, and scattered through it are wildflowers so precise in their defiance that they look less like flowers and more like arguments. The two students who were trying not to watch are no longer pretending. Ash looks at the painting for a long moment. Then she looks at Ree. Then she says, "It looks like you." And Ree looks at the painting, the desolation and the insistent flowers, and thinks about City A, and the scholarship student, and the 6 days, and the stairwell, and the 4 words, and decides she is probably right. It looks like you. Second-year student who has been watching the art studio situation from the corridor finally works up the nerve to lean in and ask the person beside him who the transfer student is exactly. The person he asks pulls up the school's top 5 rankings on their phone and points to the name at the first position. Then they pull up the school forum where 3 posts and 2 photos have appeared and been deleted in the last hour. Then they say, "You see that necklace?" And the second-year student looks at the W engraved in blue-white diamonds at Ree's collar and feels something click into the understanding of the open secret that everyone at elite schools in this country already knows. A bank notification arrives on Ree's phone at 4:47 p.m. 2 million deposited from an account ending in 9527. He sends a cute sticker back. Luna replies asking him to be careful out there and to call if anything happens. He sends another cute sticker. From next door at Maplewood, Luna stares at the sticker for 3 seconds and then smiles at her phone in a way that 4 of her closest friends have never once seen before, and which starts a whispered conversation that she will not be explaining. The school day ends and Ree walks out through the Thornfield gate, the W necklace resting against his collar in the last of the afternoon light. Luna is next door at the Maplewood gate. Ash is somewhere behind him. Vera and Serena have already gone ahead. Elliot waves from the bicycle rack. The school day is ordinary and enormous and exactly what he wanted when he came here, not the hiding, but the having. He lifts one hand in response to Elliot's wave, and the diamonds catch the last of the sun, and the W flashes once, and Crest Academy, and the box cutter, and Blake's face, and the office, and the 20 billion, and all of it feels like a previous draft of a story that has since been rewritten. He keeps walking.